Hi there. In this video, I'm going to show you how to grade a Spanish assignment on Google Forms using AI. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the assignment itself. We have this example Spanish assignment. It's got 3 questions, and the questions are the following. So this was question 1, this is question 2, and this is question 3. We also have 3 example responses from fictional students, Alex, Jamie, and Taylor here, and these are their responses. So some of them got all of them correct, some got, I think, none of them correct, and some did okay. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is navigate to withleo.ai and then create an account if you don't have one already. It's free to make an account and you can start grading for absolutely no cost. If you already have an account, you can log in. So once you're logged in, it's going to take you to the dashboard, which looks like this. And you're going to want to grade an assignment and click on this orange button on the left. Now it's going to ask you what grading method you want to use. There are a couple different options. There's score-based, rubric-based, and highlighted feedback. So score-based is good for anything with clear answers, things like quizzes, problem sets, short answer assignments, etc. Rubric-based is when you want to use a rubric for mastery-based grading. And then lastly, there's highlighted feedback, which is good for adding highlights to essays. This is more appropriate for longer form writing. So for this, we're going to go with score-based. Now, step 1 is to give your assignment a name. I'm just going to call this Spanish assignment. And you can obviously call this whatever you'd like, whatever your assignment is called. And then for step 2, now we're going to define the questions and their grading criteria. So in a previous video, I showed how you can do this manually. You can, type in the question here. You can add criteria manually, or you can add criteria with AI. But I showed you how to add questions, sort of manually. In this video, I want to show you how you can do this using AI. So we have this other button here called Create Questions with AI. And what I'm going to do is if you click on that, it's going to ask you to paste the entire assignment text into this box. So I'm going to go ahead and grab each of those questions. I'm going to copy question 1 first, paste that in there. I'm going to go grab question 2, paste that in here. And then finally, I'm going to grab question 3 and then paste that in here. And so now we have all the questions in this little box. Obviously, you might have more questions and you can basically copy and paste everything into here. And then you can click on create questions. So now Leo is going to take the questions that you've typed in here and it's going to produce those questions in Leo manually. And it'll also automatically suggest a criteria for that question. So this was the first question, and this was the criteria that Leo suggested. Student correctly conjugates the verb hablar in present tense for the first person singular, yo, as hablo. And same for question 2, which asks the student to translate. And this was the translation that we're looking for. And then lastly, for question 3, this was the produced criteria. And so this is a really quick way to produce all the questions and all the corresponding criteria for an entire assignment just by pasting the entire assignment text into here and clicking on create questions. So now that's done, we can move on to step 3. Again, for step 3, these are some optional configurations. You don't have to select these. If it's handwritten, it's good to select this because that'll, if the student responses are handwritten, I should say, it's good to select this so that when students upload their submissions or their assignments, or you upload the assignments, it's going to look out for handwriting rather than digital text. And then this option is for if you want students to upload their submissions themselves and for Leo to grade immediately right in front of them. This is also optional, so I'm going to leave these off for now, and we can talk about those in a different video. But now we're basically done. I'm happy with these questions. I'm happy with the criteria, and I'm going to click on Create. And now it's going to ask me for the student submissions. So you can see there's a lot of different ways you can upload submissions. You can upload, several different PDFs, each PDF representing one student's submission. You can also import from Google Classroom if you have a Google Classroom assignment, maybe a Google Classroom question or a Google Doc, for example. And then lastly, you can also share an upload link with students where students can upload it themselves. But for this, I'm going to show you how to import submissions from Google Forms. And so these are the responses, and you're going to want to click on this 3-dot button at the top right, and click on download responses as a CSV. So that's going to download all the responses as essentially a Excel sheet or a Google sheet. And I'm going to unzip it first. You want to make sure it's unzipped before you upload it. And so once it's unzipped, I'll just drag and drop it into this upload box. And now it's uploading. And Leo is going to produce the submissions for you. Now, one thing to note is in the responses, it's good to have the question's name and email. That way, Leo knows what to call each submission. Otherwise, without a name column, it's going to call it student 1, student 2, etc. And then lastly, this is for the email column as well. If you have that, that gives you the option to send the result to the students after all the grading is complete. Okay, so now everything's been uploaded and they're ready to grade. So I can just click on the grade all button, and that's going to send the submissions to Leo to do the grading. It takes about 30 seconds in total, and it grades everything at the same time. So that's where the real time saving comes from, is that it's able to grade an entire class of submissions, whether it's 20, 25, 30, all the way up to 500 if you have that many students. And it can grade everything simultaneously. So I'll skip forward in time a little bit, and once it's graded, I can show you the results. Okay, so it's been about 30 seconds, and you can see that all the students' submissions have been graded, and these are the grades on the right side. And if you click on the student name, it will open up a new tab revealing how the student did in each question. So it'll give you the criteria breakdown. On the right side is a student response, and then on the left side is their performance, is their criteria sort of accuracy. So question 1, you can see student got 1 out of 1. For question 2, student got 1 out of 1. And then question 3, student got 1 out of 1 for a total of 3 points out of 3 points. If you click on the chat icon here, the chat bubble icon, it'll give some feedback for that student. So the student conjugated this one correctly. Student here translated it correctly. And then here, this was also correct. You can also toggle these decisions. So if you feel like, if you disagree with some of these awarded points, you can just select and click on that criteria, and it will turn it off or on. So right now, what I just did was I clicked on this box here, and it toggled it. And so now student got this one. Student did not get this point, and now student got a 2 out of 3. Now I can click on it again, and it'll turn it back on. You can also click on the edit box here, which will edit the feedback for that question, and then you can click save. Now going back to the student submissions page, you can go to the analytics tab, and it'll show you how the class did overall. So you can see a grade distribution here. In this case, 2 students got 0, and then 1 student got 3. Obviously, if you have more students, it'll show you a nicer distribution. You can also look at the criteria breakdown. So in this case, 1 out of 3 students got the first criteria correct, and then the same for questions 2 and 3. And it'll also show you which students those were. And then lastly, you can generate a summary. If you click on this button, it'll produce a paragraph for you summarizing the class's performance, summarizing which questions the students did well on, which ones they didn't do well on, giving you some tips on what to focus on to help your students improve. So that's about it. All in all, it took us about 8 minutes to upload the submission, first create the assignment in Leo, to download the submissions as a CSV, to upload it to Leo, and then to grade everything.